Today I'm going to talk about how I used the software called DeepFakes or the FakeApp to have little pretend interviews with some of my favorite Techtubers. You're going to see a mix of my talking head today and also some footage that I recorded as I went along. Pretty much this could be a very long video. In fact, I might even break it up into two parts. What's up YouTube, Jason here with Byte My Bits, and in today's video, like I said, I'm talking about how I used DeepFakes or the FakeApp in order to have pretend interviews in my little spoof interview video that I made. Of course, that video was made all in good fun. If you haven't seen it, check in the cards above to check it out. It was definitely interesting to make, fun to make, took a little bit to do, but I personally think it was well worth it, even though it didn't really, get as much attention as I had hoped for, but. So if you don't know what deepfakes are, or the software called the FakeApp, it is a software that was created by somebody to basically overlay somebody's face on a different video. If you haven't already guessed, or maybe you don't already know, this was used for porn videos primarily. So this software was covered by a few different people, and even Philip DeFranco talked about it on his new show. But I saw an opportunity one day. I had an idea, and I said, you know what? This could be actually put to pretty good use in like a comedy skit spoof thing if you were to do it right, and it could actually be kind of funny. In fact, I had this idea on February 2nd, and I posted to Twitter, and I told myself then that I didn't want to like lead anyone on or tell anybody what I was really doing because, well, to be honest, I figured that if somebody else bigger than me or better than me got the idea and thought it was as good as an idea as I thought it was, that they could do it probably a lot better than I could. Specifically somebody like Kyle, who already has done a spoof video mocking, other YouTubers in a joking manner. If he were to come up with this idea, and he has the hardware and the time and everything to do it, and he's actually a lot funnier than I am, I felt like he could take that idea, run with it, and probably do 10 times better than I did, and probably get it done a lot faster than I could. So I had to keep it to myself, but February 2nd was the day I had the idea, but I wasn't able to actually get it done and released until February 21st. So it took a total of 19 days for this idea to go from just an idea to a video. And in today's video, I want to talk about that process. This isn't going to be a tutorial by any means, but I will be covering a lot of the steps that I had to take, both, physically, like as far as recording and editing, all the way to the actual FakeApp usage where I'm extracting faces and training and etc. So after I had the idea, I wanted to run my very first test. I used some of my own pre-existing footage. I downloaded some, stuff from Jay's 2 Cents. I wanted to overlay his face onto mine just to see if this was a possibility. And well, it really came out pretty bad. In this example, it looked absolutely horrible. I didn't train it long enough. The resolution was wrong. I found a few things with the FakeApp. For example, from my understanding is that you can only use 720p footage in order to get a good, video overlay. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I ended up doing for the rest of the video after I tried it out with this one first. But yeah, it came out pretty bad the first time. So I had to learn a lot just based off of this first experience. Now, taking what I learned from this first experiment, I actually sat down and created like a test file, like as far as where I thought I might be sitting in my interview questions, even though I changed that later on. But pretty much I just recorded a dedicated video file and then tried to overlay Jay's face on top of it. It did come out a little bit better, but it was definitely still bad. However, with this experiment, I did learn that I was on the right track, and I did make a few changes that allowed me to get better results. Really, all it boiled down to now, shy of a few variables, is that I had to cook it longer. Once that test was completed and I was satisfied with the direction that I was going with the technology and the machine learning and the app usage and all that, then it was time to actually record the first person that I wanted to spoof. So I'm trying to dress up as Linus. This is kind of funny. I don't really have a lot of like Linus-y style of clothes. So I'm wearing the brightest shirt I have, which is an Xbox One shirt. And I found my sandals I wear to the, and I'm wearing some socks. Literally, it's the longest pair of socks I have. I got them from the hospital. I stole them from the hospital when I had surgery on my arm last year. And I don't know why I stole them, but I have them. So I got those and put on some cargo shorts. I feel like, Linus is down with the cargo shorts. And I'm recording the very first segment, which is a series of questions answered for my little spoof interview. And this is going to take probably upwards of anywhere between like 1 to 2 weeks at a minimum to render and get the whole like that FakeApp software to transpose our faces. So I'm doing this one now while I figure out the writing on the other ones, and then hopefully by the time that I have more content to record, I'll be ready, or at least my poor little 980 Ti will be ready. But here's the funny part. The funny part is that he wears earrings. I don't have any earrings whatsoever, at least nothing like him. So I printed some earrings out. I don't know, we can get on that, but I printed some earrings out and I'm going to tape them to my ear. It doesn't have to be a great job. This is just stupid. Okay, so oh man, they turned out way worse than what I thought they would. But that's all right though. It's gonna be good. Does that look like a Linus thing? I think so. All right. Whew. Get into the Linus group. Hey! So, my name is Linus. Oh, okay. My name is Linus, and I have a channel. Do I even have to introduce my name is Linus, and I have a channel. Do I even have to introduce myself? I mean, come on, guys. I'm Linus, you know? So I recorded his first, and the idea is to get his done and start the machine learning. So every time I'm not on my main computer, I could have the 980 Ti that I had in it at the time, you know, cooking that face, you know, doing the machine learning and analyzing the faces and basically starting that process. And then while it was doing that, I could work on, you know, tweaking the script that I had or recording the other people, etc., and then have Linus's face cooking the whole time. So like I said, I wanted to pick apart each person's, you know, like characteristic and try to find one thing to either overemphasize or elaborate on that maybe was just blowing it out of proportion. So I think Linus's, like, I think I took his like kind of like subtle flamboyancy that he has, and I blew it a little bit more out of proportion than what it probably should have been. But I was trying to pick something of each character and just overemphasize it and make it funny. And the problem was, really, it boils down to I'm a terrible comedian and I'm a worse actor. So that's what it came out to be, was me just acting a little bit more flamboyant than I originally anticipated. That, and I had the earrings, which was hilarious, but yeah. So the first thing I did was Linus. After that, I recorded Kyle's, because again, I finished his script second. His was a little bit unique because I actually, I didn't have tall enough hair in order to do it up like he did. So since the point of this video was to not be completely accurate, but to be a spoof, well, I decided to print out Kyle's face, or at least his hair, and tape it to my forehead. So I have my hair ready for Jay's 2 cents for his spoof, and then I have my shirt ready for Kyle, old Bitwit Kyle, you know, arts and crafts for the win. But now I have to put on my little hair wig thing. What's up, guys? 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 Yes, what is up? I am Kyle from Bitwit. Yes, what is up? I am Kyle from Bitwit. And actually, on the same day that I recorded Kyle's, I also recorded Jay's 2 cents video. It was in the same night, and I had my hair kind of pre-prepped where I put water in it and then just like held it backwards so it would stick up the right way. That way, when I did go to or get to his segment, I would be able to put gel in the hair, dry it, and it would stay the way I wanted it to. And then I got silver hair coloring, which looked absolutely horrible, but you know, Jay's got the whole salt and pepper thing going on up there, so I had to, you know, over embellish on his hair just a little bit. Well, I can tell you who I'm not. I'm not Jay-Z, so stop asking me. Well, I can tell you who I'm not. I'm not Jay-Z. Well, I can tell you who I'm not. I'm not Jay-Z. So stop tagging me in your political bull. I can tell you who I'm not. I'm not Jay-Z. So stop tagging me in your political bullshit. Personally, I enjoy making crypto miners cry. It's fun. If you don't like that, I don't really care. Unsubscribe. I even went a little too far and put it on my face, which actually created its own challenge in editing or the machine learning, because it was harder for the software to match the face because it was just bright silver, whereas he didn't have a bright silver, mustache. So that actually incorporated additional challenges, and I actually had to cook it longer in order to get the machine learning to, be better. A couple days later, I ended up recording Jerry, aka Barnacles, and well, his was a little bit unique. And I wanted to make it different. I wanted to make it stand out. For one, I'm a big fan of his channel and just his personality in general. But for two, me just trying to act like him, I found more difficult, I think, in order to make it funny. So I just decided, you know what, I'm going to try to act like him, yes, but I'm also going to do it while I'm in the bathroom. So I decided that I'm going to record Jerry's segment or answers from the bathroom.
Because poop nap.
Do you know I used to work at Microsoft? Hey, do you know I used to work at Microsoft? Hey, do you know I used to work at Microsoft? I did. Hey, do you know I used to work at Microsoft? Totally did. Hey, do you know that I used to work at Microsoft? Yeah. And if you follow Jerry, aka Barnacles, you know that he's posted a lot of pictures of him in the bathroom taking poop naps, and he's kind of an overshare when it comes to personal stuff like that. So I thought it was fitting for him to answer his interview questions from the toilet, and yeah. Now, after I recorded Jerry's segment, a couple days later after that, I ended up recording my own segment, which is where I was asking those questions, which nothing, fancy or important here. I was just sitting down, asking these pretend questions to a pretend character in front of me. But then that brought me to Paul's segment, which was kind of interesting because I almost wanted to shave my head, or at least make it short enough to match Paul's style. But I felt like it would be funnier if I put something on my head. So I decided against shaving my head or buzzing my head. It'll grow back, I know, but I don't really feel like doing that. Plus, I thought maybe this would be funnier, hopefully. So I did get a little scruff just to try to bring it out. I would like to get a couple more days on it, and I think it would be a little bit more fitting, but honestly, I just kind of want to get this done. Paul likes to have some whatever they're called, sideburns. Paul likes to have sideburns, so I'm going to do that right here. And even though the machine learning should replace most of my face, I'm also going to draw a little here. Obviously, this isn't going to match, but that's the whole point. And on top of that, I couldn't find glasses again, so I'm going to do the same thing I did with Kyle that actually worked out really, really well, and that is just drawing a black line here. So whenever the face merges together, it tends, at least with Kyle's, it tends to line up fairly decent and adds his glasses on top of me. So, yeah. Okay, so I feel like Paul is coming alive. Look at that. Got some sideburns, got the little whatever that's called, and then got sideburns. So I think there you go. Boom. I think it looks pretty good, at least good enough for the recording that I'm going to do now. So I'm going to knock that out, and yeah. Hero makes me very, very happy. Hero makes me very happy. Hero makes me very happy. Showing any kind of emotion in a video can definitely ruin it. Also, hero knocking over a camera. That really gets me riled up. I went to Walmart and I talked to somebody. Somebody said that you need a do-rag or whatever, but they didn't have them in stock. So I literally bought pantyhose and stretched it over my head, and it did not stretch very well. And it was like $1 pantyhose. So it looked really terrible. But it got the point across. And that's all that mattered. No matter how bad it looked, the point was there. Now, with all this aside, once I actually had a Techtubers questions recorded, and then I had the footage that I was going to work with, of course, I went through and edited which answers I wanted to use because I didn't want to face match the entire segment. So I cut it down and I edited it down. But once I did that, I had to basically get sample images from each Techtuber's face. And then use that in the machine learning. So for each Techtuber, I literally just went through and I found videos that had different lighting setups, like maybe a different facial color from the different lights, maybe different intensities, shadows, stuff like that. And I downloaded like 4 to 5 videos for each person. And then I imported those into Premiere, and I actually cut out anything that didn't show a clear face. And I cut it together into about, I don't know, I think it was anywhere between 2 to 4 minutes of video where it was just segments of each person's face. Then I was able to export that as its own video file. So it was just a video file with no sound, nothing else, only showing each Techtuber's face. And then I went into the command line after downloading FFmpeg, and basically I extracted each frame individually from the video file that I exported from Premiere Pro, and that allowed me to basically have all of those frames right and ready for the FakeApp to extract all the faces. So after I extracted the frames, I used the FakeApp to extract all the faces, and that pretty much gave me a data set, a set that the program would use to compare the faces side by side and essentially mold them or overlay them together. However, whenever you do extract the faces, you do have to kind of go through the extracted faces and look for frames that turned out bad. Pretty much the face extraction program is not perfect, so sometimes it would focus on something weird, or the frame would be completely off or something like that. I mean, I did have to spend a little bit of time going through it depending on how many frames I had for my data set, but that just was one step that I had to do. And then came the training. Now, I used the FakeApp to train, of course, but it was kind of a hit or miss, a trial and error, as it were, to get the training to work as high of quality as I could handle with my 980 Ti. Now, keep in mind that the limitations here were more on the VRAM that the 980 Ti rather than the processing speed of the 980 Ti. So the Zotac Amp Extreme that I have has an 8 gigabytes of VRAM in it, and I found a limitation, I think, of about 1,024 nodes and 64 layers or something. I forgot what the exact numbers were, but pretty much I ran through some trial and error of getting the actual training process to work with a larger data set and the quality that I wanted, etc. In fact, I found that if you have any Adobe applications open, even if it's the Adobe Media Encoder or any other program that might put any strain on your GPU whatsoever, have any VRAM allocated to it, it would just cause it to crash. So it was kind of important, and I didn't really realize it at first, but it was kind of important to keep everything closed that you didn't need essentially open. But once I got everything started, then it pops up a preview window, and it shows you like what the progress is for the faces being merged together and actually starting to look like each other. So it's comparing them both ways, and it's trying to combine them and make them work together both ways. And then on the command line screen, like the DOS window, it shows a loss %, or a loss point or whatever, where it's like 0.08 or 0.09 or whatever, and it shows it as it goes along. That loss percentage is getting lower and lower. Now, just starting this out, when it's really high, the faces do not look very good at all. They're not overlaying and they're not looking good. And it has a long time to go. And I found when I was working with Linus's video that I really needed to get to like 0.008, 0.009 area to get a good face mold. In fact, I even got like somewhere around this with Jerry and his face, but I had to go lower and longer just because I could not get our face color to line up. Jerry was a challenge, along with Kyle was a challenge. I think Kyle's face looked worse on me. But Jerry and Kyle, those two faces were the hardest ones to get good. Even though I ran into the challenges with Jay's face just because of the whole silver that I put on my beard and all that, Kyle and Jerry's was like the worst. But anyways, once you get the percentages low enough, then you use the FakeApp to convert it, where you're overlaying the Techtubers face on top of the individual frames of your own video. And that pretty much puts everything into PNG files. It's just an image sequence. You take that image sequence, you import it into Premiere, and then you have your preview. And ultimately, the whole goal here is to basically take that, overlay it on top of your video. That way your audio syncs up. Of course, something to note here, I did end up having to delete a couple frames that came out really bad. So when I imported it into Adobe Premiere, like for example, Kyle, for some reason was the worst. I think it's because of his glasses. I had to delete a bunch of frames. So I changed the speed of the image sequence to match the video itself. So there was a little bit of tweaking as the video played. I had to change the audio location, stuff like that. A little bit of tweaking on the back end to get it to look right, just to make up for those loss of frames. Now, like I said, this entire thing took like 19 days to do, and I actually thought it was going to take much longer. And it probably should have taken much longer just because my 980 Ti, although it's fairly recent, it's still, you know, yesteryear's technology, and it was still really slow. So I end up getting this. I actually got a pretty good deal on it, and I'm even thinking about making a video on how I got a good deal on this, but I got a 1080 Ti. This is going to be from EVGA, and this thing, oh man, it cooks I think almost 4 times faster than my 980 Ti did. So once I got the 1080 Ti and I put that in my main system, I took my 980 Ti and I put it in my Plex demo server, and I used pretty much both of them concurrently in order to cook things much faster overall. Like for example, I was having a rough time getting Jerry's face to line up, so I put Jerry's face on the test server and just had it running 24/7, just non-stop. So it wasn't being started and stopping every time I got on the computer. It was just running 24/7, just letting it cook, trying to make it get better. While on my main computer, I was cooking other faces like Paul or, you know, Jay or whoever's face I was still working on. So getting the 1080 Ti probably sped me up by at least 2 to 3 weeks. I mean, it was really slow when I only had the 980. Getting the 1080 just made everything happen way faster than what it was going to happen before without it. Now, the good thing here is that I was actually able to go through and edit the video, like the final video before everything was done cooking, as far as the faces were done cooking, because the answers, the questions that were being asked and the answers being, you know, given were all going to be the same. It was all in the same project file. It was all it needed to do was overlay the new image sequence. So I could go through and edit it and pretty much see how it was going to look and how it was going to feel, add my music and everything that I was going to do. And then once I was just done with that, all I had to wait was for each person, each Techtuber to be finished and to have their faces overlaid. And then I just imported into Adobe into the same project file, and it was automatically part of the edit that I did before. Now I had that edit done before, probably a solid week or week and a half before I had my faces done cooking. So that allowed me to pretty much just, as soon as I was done with the faces, I could just export the video and then get it uploaded and shared. And then you have the end result, which is me sitting down, spoofing an interview with some of my favorite Techtubers. And, you know, I could have been funnier. I could have been a better actor. I probably could have done it better, but it is what it is. And I think some people, at least 5,000 of them so far, maybe enjoyed it. Either way, it was fun to make, and for all of those who watched it and shared it or enjoyed it, thank you for watching it. It was definitely an interesting project, something new for me. Maybe in the future I might do something like that again. I'm not really sure. That was just kind of a spur of the moment thing, an idea I had, so who knows? I know I'm not like terribly funny, so it's really hard to, you know, go out of my box and try to be funny when it can backfire pretty easily for me. So again, guys, if you haven't seen that spoof video, I will link it at the end of this video or it's in the cards above. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe below. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, of course, leave those below as well, and have yourself a good night.